There we go. Now you can continue ranting about how every match went about 10 minutes too long.
10? Yeah, some much longer than that, my friend. Some much longer than that. A chant fest and a cheer fest for all, and a glorified sing-along in the great old town of Paris, France.
I thought about that about 3 times during this PLE. Can you imagine how much worse this show would be with a dead crowd?
I honestly, Brad, even the main event, they went dead like 4 times. And when that crowd went dead silent, that crowd went dead silent, and it was nuts. And Jey Uso shorts were crazy. And I don't know why I'm so hung up on that, but I feel like I'm really hung up on it. It's really triggered me.
Friends, and welcome to your Clash in Paris review for the Hub. I am Brad the Dad, and running shotgun with me is not my usual tag team partner. We are playing with the Freebird rules because neither of us could find our regular tag team partners, so we are like Teddy Long special, baby. We got two Pete tag partners who get smushed together for a PLE, and that means Eric B is joining me from the Raw Dogs.
This is definitely a Bubba Ray Dudley and Jeff Hardy teaming up kind of situation going on. Folks, thanks for having me, Brad. I'm definitely a lot more excited to talk about this for hopefully a lot shorter than 4 hours in comparison to the wrestling content we just had to take on this lovely Sunday. Final Sunday of the summer, too, at that, which in my opinion has been robbed by the greed of WWE. No, I won't get that deep into it, but yes.
Afternoon PLEs are still better than evening PLEs. Can you imagine doing this at like midnight?
Give it to me on a Saturday. And then, anyways, yeah. Rant over, Brad.
I thought this was Saturday. As we're watching the show on Friday, I thought Michael Cole kept screwing up, and then I was like, wait a second, this show's on what? Why is this Sunday?
I woke up and checked because you told me Saturday originally, so I had to wake up and check. So, folks, this is my first recording actually from being away on a trip for the last 2 weeks. So I am refreshed with wrestling, and what a way to do it. Honestly, what a way to do it. We go from 2-hour shows, 3-hour shows to 4-hour glorified house shows. Is that a nice way of saying it? I think that's a nice way of saying it.
There was definitely some good wrestling, but the problem was the pacing is bad for WWE. I'm wearing my John Cena shirt that I got in Toronto. The last time is now. And I was at the mall with the family. We went to church and then went and grabbed lunch afterwards. And we're there, and some lady walks over to me, one of the people that is working there. And, maybe a little bit on the spectrum. Sweet lady. She's just like, oh, I love your shirt. And she's like, were you there? And I was like, yeah, I was there at that. She goes, are you going to go watch the show today? I was like, yeah, I'll watch it in the afternoon. And she said to me, oh, I have to wait until I'm done work at 6. And I was like, well, that's fine. You're going to have, it might still be going on. And secondly, you can skip all the advertisements and things. And she goes, there's no advertisements on Netflix. I'm like, is there? And then she thought about it for a second. She's like, yeah, there is advertisements on Netflix.
Oh, there definitely is, because it's so funny. At one point, I like completely closed my eyes and took a nap, woke up half an hour later, and just caught up effortlessly, skipping through all of the Slim Jim discussion, Maybelline discussion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And just like I said, man, just a nonstop, endless chanting and cheering from those crazy drunk Frenchmen. Which I gotta tell you, I mean, you mentioned it, man, without them, it would have been a hard show to swallow for that entire 4 hours. That crowd was definitely on point and on fire, but they would just cheer for anything, dude. At a certain point, I started getting triggered by the crowd. Jey Uso shorts, I don't know why. Again, it's bothering me. It's bothering me so much, Bradley the Dadley. But yes.
So I was in Paris and there was a riot. We were leaving town and we were on our way to the airport, and they actually were shutting down train stops. We on a family vacation because they were like, we can't pull more riders into the course of France. And I was like, you know what? I'm not surprised. And also, they're used to being outside. My wife points this out. They're used to soccer stadiums, and so when they make noise, it just goes up. And the advantage of this place was that there was a roof, and when it was rocking, boy, was it rocking.
Yeah, and they were bouncing like crazy, man. Just the whole time they're bouncing like nuts. It's like they got little trampolines in their seats just going crazy. And I think that the camera angles, the hard cam shot especially, was hilarious because they had two little spotlights on each walkway making it to the ring. So at least 10 different times, I was like, who's running to the ring? Who is it? It's like the spotlight's on this man. But it's just so random in such a huge stadium. And yeah, man, I think that they found a variation for every single hit song from the mid 80s. To mix in with John Cena's name, for sure, John Cena. And talking about riots in Paris, if John Cena was to lose this match this evening, I think there would have been a riot in Paris, for sure.
The people of France know how to riot, and they also know how to cut the heads off of kings. And I think the King of Kings may have lost his head if it would have been in Paris. So let's get into this show. It's, as we alluded to off top, it's a long show. And I'm looking at the notes. I'm like, holy cow, this was a lot of wrestling. So let's start with the match that probably needed to be about 10 minutes at max. And we got 30, almost an hour by the time we get into the shenanigans.
Yeah, the shenanigans were definitely long and extensive. And I think that a point that was attempted to be made became almost ridiculous at a certain point because of all of that. So yeah.
So first match is Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed. The Shula Fala is in play. Did you notice he had a different shirt than for Monday?
What's that?
He had a new shirt. So his Shula Fala shirt, which had the actual shoes on it, which appeared on Raw on Monday, got flagged or something because it's gone. You cannot find it on WWE Shop. It cannot be purchased anymore. So that's the Shula Fala shirt, but no sneakers that are built into the shirt.
Geez, I'm telling you, man, Nike is fast and furious about this, but Nike has been all over WWE. And I said it from the beginning that I thought that they were maybe like a phantom sponsor because Roman's been rocking more and more Nikes ever since the Netflix deal started. So I thought it was for sure. Even like you said, at the point after this match, which we're going to get into, I'm like, Nike's got to be in on this, man. If this is involved this much.
Does he have a Brock deal where he has his own sponsorships?
This is true as well.
And maybe that would explain why it's the shoes were fine, but not the shoes on the shirt.
This is true.
So anyways, this match, the whole story of this match was the fact that the crowd was loud and Bronson is big and Roman was having a hard time throwing him around. And it was a lot of Roman selling, like a lot of Roman selling.
Mm-hmm. Even though Roman is chiseled like a god, looking like he's completely carved out of stone every time that he comes into the ring. It's absolutely crazy. But yes, he just could not muster enough power to lift the big beast that was Bronson Reed in this match. And it was a lot of that, a lot of that. I had to keep on checking my watch to be like, we're getting really deep into the water here, really into the deep end here at the beginning. And I know that you're looking for like a really hot start at the beginning, of a PLE, and especially moving to ESPN Plus and demanding more money from people. I don't know if this was the way to do it. I don't know if that was the way to do it.
This match was put in this place because of everything that happens in, and we're really are gonna get there in a second. So in the middle of this match, we have a Shula Fala pose, and this forces Roman the Hulk out. He is finally he had cleared the table earlier. Finally, we get use out of that. He takes the shoes, 2 shots at him to knock him over the top ropes. Bronson, he gets a drive by, and at one point Roman tries to hit the spear, and Bronson counters with the drop kick. Bronson Reed tries to hit Tsunami, but he took too long and he misses. And at the end of this, we get a spear for the win. And Eric, I already know the answer to the first question. Was this match too long?
Yes.
And did the right guy win? Is the better question.
I'm going to go with we here in the French. I think that Roman definitely needed to pick up a win. I think that Bronson Reed has been bossing him around, and he more or less gets a victory after this match anyway. So it's not like it matters as much. And then Roman also gets some time away to go film Street Fighter like we know he's going to do.
Yeah, and as you alluded to, so he's celebrating, and then finally Paul Heyman's in there with Shula Fala, and he acknowledges Roman, but Roman still chokes him out. And just as Roman's celebrating on the desk outside, Braun Breaker, who doesn't have a match on this card, makes his impact. He spears Roman, and then the security comes down, and they help Paul back up, and then he comes wind sprinting back to the ringside and spears Roman again. And this time, Bronson Reed gets in on it, and we get a tsunami and another spear. And then at one point, Roman is strapped to a backboard, and then they come back.
He's on a gurney almost at one point. It's hilarious.
That's right. He's on a yellow gurney, and then he gets tsunami'd again. This forces Jay to come out and save his cousin, but Jay gets beat down and speared, and Roman gets one more tsunami. So Jay's hurt going into his main event, and Roman has been destroyed and taken to the hospital, and so is Paul Heyman.
There was a lot going on. There was absolutely a lot going on. And also keep in mind, we had Braun Breaker selling the shoulder after all of those spears. It was looking like he was maybe injured. A lot of people were saying that online. Did he just hurt himself? It's like, no, we can't believe anything anymore with these guys after the whole Seth debacle. So we're setting up that there's nobody here to help Seth in the main event is really what we're doing. And everybody else has been taken out as well. So nobody's going to interfere, right?
Yeah,
right?
No one's going to interfere. There's no way. They got thrown into the building by Adam Pearce, who effectively made it so that it was a straight match for the main event.
Yes.
Okay, this match got ended on Friday. The Wyatt Six versus the Street Profits for the SmackDown version of the tag titles. I always forget which ones are the WWE and which one the Worlds. Doesn't matter. They're on my show for now, and they'll probably get switched at some point.
I just think it's dumb. Just call it SmackDown and call it Raw, or just call them whatever. I mean, that's what it is. It's different brands of different belts. That's all it is.
I think you have the World and I have the Heavyweight, because the World titles seem to be over on one show with the IC titles, and we have the US titles on my show. So,
yeah, we have the World Tag Team titles. I'm looking at my little slap band here on my desk.
This match, did you know what the guys were wearing until they explained it? Because they come out, the Street Profits come out to their terrible Death Rebel song, and they're in gear. Did you know what their gear represented until Michael Cole opened his mouth?
Is it Overwatch or something like that? Some type
Borderlands.
Borderlands. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Anyways, the like you said, the advertising is kind of getting to the point where it's very ridiculous. And there's a lot of times when I'm watching this PLE tonight, and I thought that I was watching the other brand, because the other brand has been very much meta and into whatever's going on and taking money for anything to advertise almost anything. And Borderlands is cool. I loved that game when it first came out, but that was a very long time ago.
My daughter came home from shopping with my wife, and she sees it, immediately knows what it is. And I'm like, well, thanks for telling me. And then Michael Cole says it. And then she says something very interesting, which was she watched the Wyatts come in. She not watch the PLE. She's just in the room. And she goes, why aren't those guys wearing the Borderlands mask?
Listen, the Wyatt's entrance was, again, when you're talking about highlights of the power of that stadium and that audience, the Wyatt's entrance was definitely it. We talk about the noise that crowd was making a lot, and during that entrance, again, there was numerous points of pure silence and just fireflies, and seeing like 30,000 fireflies as they were making their way to the ring almost justified this entire gimmick of the Wyatt Six. But I don't think that this tag team title run for the five of them is really doing it.
Yeah, they're definitely heels. And it was one of those things where it's like, who's the heel could have been played here. But it was one of those matches where I'm watching Loomis and Gacy and go, they're not bad. They're just not, there's something missing.
It's just, what are you going to do to get these guys over? At certain points, you were thinking that maybe one of them was going to go on some type of a singles run. Uncle Howdy hasn't done really much of that. He's just kind of a glorified mascot. I don't watch the Blue Brand enough to truly, really talk about this, but from what I've seen, everything that they were trying to accomplish with the Wyatt Six, and you know what? Speaking completely outside of the PLE tonight and what's going on in the ring, everything that they've done with this Halloween Horror Night looks really incredible. The entire Wyatt Six themed Horror Night and Bray Wyatt inspired Horror Night looks so awesome. But yeah, these guys are a lot of bells and ribbons, and I don't know if they deliver. Like you said, there's something missing about them in the ring.
And this match was basically Ford getting beaten up until Dawkins makes a hot tag. Dawkins has perfected the hot tag with his spinning offense and his back elbows and his corkscrew like dive in the corner. He looks great. But even after they hit all these moves, the Wyatts come in. There is Nikki Cross grabs Ford's leg at one point after he does a big dive, slowing him to come back in. They then get taken out, and the tag team finisher is hit by the Wyatts. They call it's a power bomb, like a superplex into a power bomb. They call the plague. Sure.
I mean, I don't mind that finisher. I like the delivery. I think that the quicker that you do it, the more impact it has. I think that it sounds nice and it's visually appealing. I think that the issue here with the Wyatt Six is, to get this win, you had to have Nikki Cross, you had to have Eric Rowan, and you also had to have Uncle Howdy hit Sister Abigail on the outside to make it even happen. So how can you take these guys seriously? Sure, yeah, they're playing the heel role, but was that what WWE wanted to do with them when they first brought them back? And definitely not what the crowd wanted. Definitely not what the crowd wanted. The crowd wanted these guys to be like super hot and successful.
And they still don't want it, Eric. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. I mean, good work for Bo Dallas and Eric Rowan. Like, what did Eric Rowan do in this match? He was a distraction and he caught a flying forward, and Bo Dallas hit Sister Abigail. So both guys took a bump and a half.
And honestly, they're these guys that are definitely on the cusp of what are you going to do when their contracts are expired? Like, how are you going to take these guys to the next level? I don't see Joe Gacy getting there under this gimmick. In NXT, the thing that he was doing was actually kind of cult leader-esque, and a lot of people are into that. But we've seen what WWE has done with that recently when you look at characters like Karrion Kross. So I'm not sure. Maybe, honestly, when you think about that type of cult leader character, maybe it's just not what Netflix will approve on their programming anymore, or something like that. Maybe there's somebody involved. Maybe TKO is like, we're just not going to have any cult involvement in our wrestling storyline anymore.
Triple H used to know how to be a leader of faction. How come he can't teach somebody how to run a faction?
Well, what does Bo Dallas do to run that fashion besides being the brother of Bray Wyatt? Like, what does he do to actually run it? And it's been a long time since those teaser promos went anywhere. And when those teaser promos first came out, I remember me and Randy talking about it on, Crossroads Raw, the absolute worst Raw review on the internet. You can listen to us here on the Hub. And I was saying, like, what do we get after this? What happens after this? And I envisioned more.
And until you put, let's say, Bo Dallas into a run, I mean, now they've shuffled the titles, the mid-card title, and somehow Sami Zayn has it. So unless you're going to move like kind of laterally and have Bo Dallas go after Sami, like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
You can put a mask on anybody and put them in a really cool costume and make them scary and all of that good stuff. But when it comes time to actually perform, what is truly different about all of these characters? And the answer is nothing. Just a couple of moves here for Bo Dallas.
And Dexter Loomis
from his brother.
Yeah, and Dexter Loomis, let's be honest, the best wrestlers in that faction are Eric Rowan, Dexter Loomis, and Nick Gacy and Cross. Like all the others are better wrestlers than the guy who is the lead.
Well, yeah, Bo Dallas already let go for, years now at this point. Brought back in more or less. Again, we're getting so deep into this, but it seems like he was brought back in as a favor and a continuation here to Bray's family. And again, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. It's just, what are you going to do with these guys when their contract's up? Where are they going to go? What's going to happen? I don't think that they're going to be re-signed.
And how come there's 9 tag teams on my side and you guys got like 3?
We get nothing, and then you guys get tag teams of 5 members. So here we are.
We had an elaborate tag tournament for the last 3 weeks to set up this match that was just in the middle of the show. Speaking of which, speaking of elaborate tournaments, I think Nikki Bella won an elaborate tournament to get her match with Becky Lynch, which is our women's intercontinental title match.
Yeah, that's a match that happened too. I guess we have to talk about it.
This match is that divorces are expensive.
And the other story of this match is nobody cares.
Yeah, I feel for Nikki because there was a couple of times in this where the crowd chanting was good. It was loud. People really like Becky, but Becky has some great offense. And then Nikki at one point, you can see the layoff and she kept trying for the rack attack and Becky kept slipping out. And then there's one where she does that. She gets on the middle corner and she tries a kick. And did she miss? Was there miscommunication or did she slip?
No,
I don't even know.
No. She was going for John Cena, who was in the ring at the time. You just couldn't see him. She connected flush and continued with the match like a champion. But no, there's a lot of time when since Nikki has been back full time, where you question if she can be in these big moments. And tonight was one of those nights when you're like, why is this match even here? And Becky was definitely, I think, seen as the face here in this match.
Yes, especially when Nikki tried her new finisher, which is called Fearless, which looks strangely like another person's finishing move. And maybe maybe her and her ex-boyfriend were trying it in bed one evening, and she's like, "This move isn't that hard."
We have some really terrible names for finishers dropped tonight, don't we? We've got the Fearless Lock. And then later on in her ex-husband's match, we hear another ridiculous finisher dropped multiple times.
Yes. Eventually, there is a backslide for the win.
and a very rough-looking backslide at that.
And the whole time, dude, now this is going to sound terrible. Like, I think Nikki is a very attractive woman, but I'm like, look at those shorts as they're riding up during the match and like, man, her kid's gonna watch this, and she has a boy. Like her boy. Can you imagine being that kid going to school? What? Your mom's Nikki? Wait, Nikki Bella? Would you like to see some fun pictures of your mom on the internet?
I think that he knows all about it at this point. He knows where he came from. He knows all about it. He was there before we were,
and he is. And hopefully, he and his brother someday can be tag team champions together. Because there is we can have the Bellas, but then they're not twins, so it's like the Bella somethings, and it'll be the same. One can wrestle and the other one can't wrestle. And I'll give you a hint: the one with Daniel Bryan's genetics might be the one that can wrestle.
Let's hope not for this. Let's just hope this doesn't happen. Yeah.
All right. So this match was one of the funnest matches. I think this is where the card took a definite turn because we had Sheamus and Rusev in a Donnybrook match. Yeah,
we did.
I was shocked.
You're more excited about it than I am because we've been talking about this for 2 months on Crossroads Raw and watching this match happen in one way or another for the last 2 months. That's the way it has been. It's just been talking about Rusev and Sheamus and Rusev and Sheamus, and where do we go from here after this match as well is another question. But yeah, go ahead, Brad. You're a lot more excited about it than I am.
My wife is in my basement right now, and she's been sorting through my comics. So we have all my comics on my pool table. We're kind of going through the collection, figuring out what to keep, what to get rid of. And she's sort of not half watching, and she sees Sheamus and Rusev come, and she goes, did he eat Rusev? Like, he just looked. And then even Sheamus, she was like, wow, these guys look in great shape. And then she freaks out when she sees the kendo stick. She's like, why is there a kendo stick? I'm like, this is one of those matches where they're allowed to hit each other with everything and anything. And I was like, and then she goes, oh, okay. So that's what happened there. They literally hit each other with everything that wasn't nailed down.
Yes, they did. Flags, whiskey, casks, the whole 9 yards, shillelaghs. Lots of shillelaghs. Shillelaghs in the mouth, shillelaghs to the head, shillelaghs to the back. Just listen, I think that both of these men are going to be having shillelagh-based nightmares for a really long time.
At one point, Wade Barrett points out the fact that Sheamus would not go drinking with Michael Cole and Wade Barrett the night before because he was resting up. And the reality is he needed beer after this, especially after they walled each other with the shillelagh. At one point, Sheamus using the shillelagh for the 10 beat to the baldron, and Wade again with the line, this man needs a beer. I haven't seen him hit somebody this hard unless he's been 3 beers in him. Get him some of the brown stuff. So I guess he meant Guinness. And I hope they both get Guinness right after this match.
I think they all went out the night before. I'm gonna put some money on it. And somebody, I think later on in the night definitely went out hard. Maybe the night before, maybe a couple of nights before, but they were definitely a little bit behind tonight for reasons that the bottle might be blamed for.
The Slim Jim tables are already set up. They fight onto the whiskey barrels. And at one point, also we're in an accolade on there. But no, we at White Noise off the whiskey barrels through the tables on the floor. Like, what a ridiculous sentence to have said out loud.
Yeah, and then also Jessica Carr is just holding on to those whiskey barrels for dear life. That wonderful referee that she is just standing up, keeping them from falling. Whose idea was this? Why does this make this a little bit more fun? But it was, like you said, it was meant to deliver a little bit of a break for people from, I guess, the reality of all the other matches that we had and storylines going on. So, yeah, it was meant to be fun and people enjoyed it. It was fun. I've seen so many variations of this since WrestleMania.
And as my wife pointed out, Sheamus is super over because if there's one thing the French like almost as much as the French, it's the Irish.
Yeah, they did, man. They loved those flags. They loved the colors. Listen, Paris was turned into Ireland just for this one match, and they loved themselves some Sheamus, but they also weren't so against Rusev. They just kind of liked that these men were just getting beefy and beefing the hell out of each other in this fight.
Big meaty man smacking meat, which ends with a really cool, after Rusev dodges the kick, we then end up with an accolade where he grabs the shillelagh and puts it in Sheamus's mouth and then across his throat to choke him out. And Michael Cole notes that Sheamus has only tapped out once before, which I did fact check. He has tapped out. The last person he tapped out to was John Cena.
Oh, and I like the added pullback on the accolade as well. That made it a little bit more fun. Pulling him back and wrenching on his neck there from the back made it like a new variation. So I do like the finish. And I hope that this is the finish of this because for the love of God, we can't just run these guys into the ground. We've done Donnybrooks. We've done street fights. What would be the next type of themed fight that we would have here, Brad? A haggis versus whatever the food of Bulgaria is? I don't even know what it is.
They're going to team up and be a tag team. They're going to be a tag team.
Have you had Bulgarian food? No?
But you're getting a tag team. I'm sure it does. It's probably meat and potatoes. It's like the Polish food, I'm sure. It's like
we are definitely getting a new tag team and new tag team champions here on Monday Night Raw, and it's going to be Rusev and Sheamus. And I hope they just have a really ridiculous name, and I hope that they wear ridiculous hats and suits. Let's just run it back, man. Let's just bar 2.0. Let's just go bar 2.0 and tuxedos in the ring. Let's do it.
They can call themselves Bangers and Mash, and they'll.
Oh yeah!
And there we go. We're gonna have it'll be some Irish stew with some sort of Bulgarian meat pie and Guinnesses, and they'll be sponsored by Guinness.
Bland Bulgarian meat pies.
There's some people in Bulgaria, like the one person from Bulgaria who's listened to the
We
show.
have lost 5% of our listenership from Bulgaria by making these comments, my friend.
Yeah, which is like two people. So, anyways, thank you for the friends in Bulgaria. We love you. We love this match. It was, at least I did. I hope for your sake they get drafted to SmackDown.
Oh, geez. I don't know. It's not going to happen. They're, like you said, the tag team is definitely coming. They're going to shake hands on Raw tomorrow night. And they're going to say something along the lines, well, if you can't beat them, join them. And that's going to be it.
And eventually Sheamus will remember that he's still chasing that. Was it the IC title or the US title? He's never won. I forget which one.
This is honestly, dude, this is a hard time for us at Monday Night Raw. We lost our precious Naomi. We're gaining a tag team that nobody wants. And yeah, here we are, man.
Oh, and don't forget, you are going to get way more Becky Lynch on every single episode.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what you're not getting? Because John Cena was said in the post show that he'll be on SmackDown this week. So the Brian Smith split, we got John Cena in the brand split. You don't. And which also means we probably got a big guy from Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, dude, it's funny. I'm getting like more and more emotional every time that I'm seeing these last John Cena moments. And anytime that they mention them being last John Cena moments, I'm like, this is starting to get really real. This is starting to get really real. And it's not like he's not going to be around. He's always going to be around wrestling. It's just you'll never see him. And I do believe you'll probably never see him wrestle again after this. The guy makes way too much money in Hollywood. Why would he risk his body beyond this? He doesn't have to.
Well, and as he said, he was doing a pose during the Unreal series, and he was doing his pose waving his hand. He said, "This hurts my hip now." It's like, yeah, why would you bump around like that? Which makes this match even more special because John Cena and Logan Paul put on a clinic. Like they went 30 minutes.
Yes, they did. Yes, they absolutely did. And the crowd was the biggest motivator of this match. There was times when there was a significant slowdown in this match too, and that was the theme of the night. Significant slowdowns, matches that went on 10 to 12, 15 minutes longer than they needed to. We didn't get anything quick tonight at all. They really wanted those fans to get their money worth.
And John Cena is trying to win his 100 matches. Would you put him behind only The Undertaker? And he would join the elite class of The Undertaker as a guy with 100 wins on WWE PLEs. So John Cena going from win number 99 tonight against Logan Paul. Logan Paul gets a ton of credit. He's only had 23 matches, but boy, oh boy, was he great. And as my wife said, he is the perfect villain for Paris because he is a world-class American douchebag.
Yeah, and they absolutely hated him. They would riot if he won this match tonight. But even, again, Logan Paul definitely was putting in the majority of the work in this match. John Cena really didn't have the speed to keep up with him. And there was a time when they just didn't mesh well in the ring together at all.
Right, but we still get things like Logan Paul hitting the buckshot lariat or the whatever he calls it. And don't forget the worst one, his frog splash, which is the Paul from Grace.
Paul from Grace. And we had to hear that being said 3 times because he missed one and he hit 2 Paul from Graces. And that's just a terrible way to ruin, which is a very nice looking frog splash when it's executed by him.
Yeah, it's a lame one. We had some new moves from John Cena. I'll get there in a second, but I really want to note the fact that Logan Paul hits a killer looking zigzag. The crowd is losing its mind. Logan Paul hits the flying uppercut once, but gets distracted by the crowd. And at this point, John Cena hits a double underhook facebuster. Like I was like, where did this come from? And I thought you only had 5 moves, sir.
Well, they were chanting Super Cena, and he decided to pull out some prototype stuff. He was pulling out some Florida Championship Wrestling stuff for sure, and he definitely has had this stuff in his bag. It's just, again, you think about Hulk Hogan and work rate, brother. Like, if you only need to do 5 moves of doom, and the crowd is going to be crazy for you, and your merch is going to sell over everybody else's, then why go through these efforts? But now with John Cena coming towards the twilight, the end of his wrestling career, I think that he's really going through his entire creative player bag and just pulling out these moves that he's had and he just hasn't used on TV. Really is what it is.
At this point, Paul, after some more Paul from Grace, he's bleeding. Tries to hit the 5-knuckle shuffle, and Cena decides that he catches him at one point and slides him into the Styles Clash, and the crowd loses its mind. They love AJ Styles, and they love the fact that John Cena is stealing AJ's finisher.
They thought AJ was coming. They definitely thought it was going to be an AJ night tonight.
And it wasn't. The ending is very clever. John Cena hits an AA, and then Logan Paul, he goes to pick up Logan Paul again. Logan Paul slips out, hits the ropes, punches John Cena in the face, bounces off the ropes again, goes for a second punch, and we get another AA for the win. Logan Paul loses. John Cena wins. He spends a lot of time celebrating the whole time, even celebrating with the kid that he made fun of all those months ago, which is amazing that callback happened. That this was probably planned.
That kid is just living life, man. That kid is living life. Trust me, he did not mind being the butt of that meme and that joke for a while. They interviewed him afterwards. He said it was great. He thought it was cool. And then also, you know, my guy, that kid is at SmackDown taking a full-on video of Julia's behind with his mouth dropped to the floor like, what? So,
was it Julia, or was it the other one, or was it both, or was he just smart enough to have the widescreen? I think it was
both. I think it was probably it was the first time that he'd see a color girl's butt before, and he was like, "Oh!" But yeah, dude, I love that kid. That kid is my spirit animal, and honestly, man, you talk about these moments, and you go back to SmackDown, and John Cena is like almost crying on the mic as he's talking to this kid. And you just kind of, it's like big now. It's big. We're getting closer to the end. And it just makes more and more sense. Even though the face turn after the heel turn was done so rapidly, it makes more sense why they had to do it, especially before Europe.
Because this is it. This is his last European match, and they needed this. He kisses his beautiful wife, who apparently speaks Farsi. I learned this at church today. My friend is from that part of the world. And he's like, I heard John Cena do an interview recently in Farsi. I'm like, are you kidding me? He just picked up another language because he's John Cena.
The guy, honestly, dude, if you haven't checked out the first 2 episodes of this new season of Peacemaker, the diversity of what John Cena has in his bag as an actor, as a wrestler, as a performer in general, it's just crazy. We're going to get so many more years of this guy in our media. So it's not like he's going to be gone. He's going to be in our faces. He's surpassed what Hulk Hogan ever was as far as a movie star goes. And The Rock, he's going to surpass him as well if he hasn't already done so.
At this point, I knew what was going to happen. So I got turned on my DDPY. I did some stretching. Eric, how long from the bell of this match to the bell of the next match was it? Because I had my timer running.
Oh, I don't know, man. It was a really, really long time. It was enough time to take my dog for 3 walks if I chose to. But it was too long. I had to check the clock at one point, and my power went out maybe a few nights ago. And I haven't updated one of my clocks, and it said it was like 4:43, and then I looked at my phone and it was 5:43, and I was like, we are in deep water here. Really deep water. 27
minutes and 33 seconds. Like that was just, and nothing happened.
I'm telling you, man, and I'm serious when I'm saying this. Jey Uso's shorts was a telltale sign of things that were going on tonight. And there was definitely some delays in the match itself with Jey. There was numerous times when he looked way sloppier than somebody should look after being in the ring and being as good as he's been for decades. And there was one time specifically where LA Knight was going to lift up Jey on the back of his shoulders, almost like in a torture lock position. And Jey just jumped up. And if LA Knight wasn't as strong as he was and caught him, because by the time that he caught him, Jay's head and body, they were completely pointed down at the ground. And LA Knight picked him back up on his shoulders. I'm
and
telling you,
saved him.
man.
He saved him from breaking his neck.
I'm telling you, there's something going on with Jey Uso tonight in this match, and it reminded me specifically of Bulldog versus Bret Hart in Europe, and they were guiding him along. He looked a mess, and we know that the guy likes to party.
He's celebrating his brother having a kid, I guess.
Well, yeah, or maybe a weekend away in Europe with Jada. You never know.
Well, here's what happened. This match took forever to get started. The crowd lost its mind with Jey Uso's entrance. I'm surprised he didn't lose his shorts at one point. The crowd was alive for this match, and it was what we thought was what it was going to be, which was a few times they were beating up on Seth alone, but they can't get along. LA Knight doesn't trust Jey Uso, and Jey Uso doesn't trust CM Punk, and that kept biting them in the butt. WWE has a formula for these matches, which is two guys fight, and then somebody goes to the outside. There's a cool three-way spot, and then somebody rolls out. And boy, as you've alluded to, Jey Uso needed those times to rest, sober up, whatever was going on.
I think honestly, dude, I think it was sober up more than anything. I think that something happened. Like, honestly, he didn't look that sloppy in the whole thing with Roman Reigns. And then when he came out afterwards, he looked like hours have passed and he's in the back, dude. You don't know what he's doing back there.
Or did he get his bell rung when he took that spear?
It's possible. It's possible. There's a lot of things but when you look at the history of the Usos, especially Jay and the whole, we make light of him and Cody coming out, like being completely ripped out of their minds in a press conference. But who says that he wasn't like that in a match? Who says that there's not actual problems going on behind the scenes? And at that point, you're handcuffed. You got to go forward with it. It's not like you can pull Jey Uso from that match. So
not after you saw him earlier in the night, unless you were going to play the injury card. And then I don't know what happens this match if you were a guy down and you make it to a three-way.
Yeah, and honestly, dude, I'm contemplating a lot. I'm not talking on fact at all or knowledge. I'm just saying from everything that I've seen from Jey Uso week and week after week, there was a lot of times that made me question what's going on with this guy. And it's funny because the shorts were the first telltale sign for me. I was like, why is this guy wearing almost like Jey Uso sweatpants shorts that just have like a white yeet that looks like it's almost been ironed on? I tempted to search WWE shop and see if those are for sale or merch stand shorts
and he was taped up around the middle because they're selling the thing, but it almost looked like the tape was holding his pants on.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But talking about gear, Seth Rollins, his gear was completely on point. It looked incredible. They've made way too many action figures of that guy, so they can't make that figure. CM Punk's gear was good as well.
LA Knight looks awesome and had one of the better matches of his career. Like, there was a few times you alluded to the spot where he caught Jay. Like, he hits the BFT at one point and Jay makes a save. There's another point where there's a finisher hit, and it's a save by LA Knight. My favorite part of this match was near the end when everybody gets stomped except Seth and Punk, and he has Punk's head in the chair, and I was like, that'd be a cool stomp. And we get the classic Triple H fingerprints at the end of this, where he's like, I hate you. I hate your stupid family. I want you out of my business. And he tries to stomp him, but it looks like Seth messes up his knee, and he's got him. Punk's got him. He's going to win. He's going to win for sure. And a masked figure comes out and blasts him the balls. Seth hits a stomp and a win, and they unmask, and it's Becky Lynch.
Yeah, honestly, it's probably the most obvious answer that people avoided the whole time. Like, we were thinking about who's the fourth man the whole time. Who is it going to be? And the fourth man is the man, apparently. But now we have a lot more Becky Lynch on Monday Night Raw. She's a good mouthpiece. And again, Seth is a really good mouthpiece too. But now they're both represented by Paul Heyman, who is like the king of mouthpieces. it definitely gives you the diversity of 2025 factions for sure when you think about it. Think about Judgment Day. Judgment Day has been great for years now, and they can pretty much just interchange man or woman into the group and keep it going. And maybe you can do the same thing here with this vision. Now, I gotta put this down a little too, because the delivery of it and the unveiling of it being Becky Lynch was boring. And I think that even that crowd being as loud as it's been and as, boisterous this entire night, when that mask came off, it was not a whoa moment. It was a oh moment. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I think
that's
this
not
show,
that big of a surprise.
I think this show suffered from the fact that the main event was John Cena. And
yeah.
And then they waited 23 minutes. They tried to give us a cool down. They should have put something else in between. They should have put a match between these two things, because boy, oh boy, did this match suffer from being not John Cena.
You could have opened it with John Cena. Honestly, you could have opened it with John Cena and then moved on to the women's match and then given us Roman versus Bronson. Donnybrook, I'm missing something.
The tag match.
I'm missing the tag match.
The tag match could have been a cool down before.
The tag match should have been 12 minutes long. Honestly, the tag match should have been short as well. But yeah, it could have been a cool down. You're absolutely right.
And the other problem was this was a 6-match show. WWE doesn't know how to book a 3-hour 6-match show. So we got a longer show, and it was longer than, I think it was longer than Raw and SmackDown. If it's not, it felt like it was longer than Raw and SmackDown combined this week.
We were just, honestly, by the end of it all, we were just short of 4 hours. And that is, in my opinion, that is just too long. You lose your crowd when you're about 3 hours and 15 minutes deep. And there's only so much that you can take after that. It doesn't matter how good it is. That being said, we went to, I think, what was a 4-match show, which was it 3+ hours? But
3.5.
Well, again, you're talking about 4 matches that delivered a lot more. Everything that we saw had impact, elimination chamber matches as well. You had your Donnybrook match, but it wasn't like your big thing. I also want to kind of look at this from a business perspective too. If you're WWE and you're trying to convince everybody, especially new subscribers, to jump over to ESPN Plus and pay these additional fees, because we know that people in the United States and internationally are going to be battered with these new fees, to the point where Stephanie McMahon herself is telling people on her podcast, get a VPN and switch your network to Canada so you can still watch us on Netflix and not pay these ridiculous fees. But if you were going to make this jump, why would you do it on this PLE? Why wouldn't you do it on something that people are going to want to pay for? Why not wait until the Rumble to do this?
War Games. You could have.
Yeah, War Games too
works, and it's coming up. It was because they have this John Cena Brock match, and they want to do this match on ESPN and not on NBC.
True. Yeah, that's true. But, oh, man. That's another thing that they lost out on tonight. There was space for them to bring Brock in for a spot. I know you don't want to pay Brock that much just to come in for a spot after the match, but just imagine John Cena kissing his wife, and here comes Brock out of nowhere and destroys Cena in front of his wife. In front of his wife. Come on, man. That would have been pure gold, and that would have been worth Brock Lesnar's pay rate. Honestly, people would have been talking more about it.
I knew he wasn't coming out. I at one point turned to my wife and said, "Here comes Brock," and it's like, no. And then I realized, of course, he's not coming out. It wasn't the main event. If this was the main event, that would have been your telltale sign, because Triple H loves him. The lower third, the graphic comes up, and then we have the surprise.
I think that they thought the impact of the Becky Lynch reveal would have been more special. And maybe I'm speaking for myself. Maybe it wasn't impactful for me, but maybe for some it's a big deal.
I've been waiting for Becky to be part of that faction for 3 months. So at this point, it's like I just been waiting for it. It makes more sense. It lets Becky be on the show more without having to have random segments where she's in them.
That's true. And there's no more ridiculous challenges with Maxine Dupree or anything like that. And we don't need to wait for Natty to save us with the real Natty character. We don't need to wait for any of that on Raw. But yeah, that was that PLE, and we made it through, Brad. But we just barely made it through.
We were way more efficient as we're clocking in at around 45 minutes for this thing. Eric, when you look back at this PLE, normally Greg and I do like a synopsis. What would you say if you didn't watch this show? Is there anything you would recommend for people to go back and watch?
Oh man, I honestly, I'm gonna sound narcissistic. Sorry, I'm gonna sound cynical as I say this, but I don't think that there was anything that I would tell people. Like, say for example, if you were not a wrestling fan, there's nothing that I would be like, you have to see this. There's nothing that really stands out too much on this card for me to the point where I could get somebody on board and saying, you really got to see this. What about you?
I would say the Sheamus match, if you haven't been watching them like you have been religiously, then maybe that. The other one is John Cena. I would say and only because I think when you look back at this year of last matches, this is going to be one of those matches we look back and go, damn, this was a good John Cena match. Maybe even a great John Cena match.
Well, I'll give you a moment. I think that if anything that kind of stands out a lot from this show, it is the entrance of the Wyatt Six and just seeing really the culmination of this entire thing that they've been doing for years now, trying to get it over. And you could see the crowd was really into this and excited. I don't think in the United States they have the same excitement.
I would say they don't for everything. And if we learned anything, more European PLEs. Way more.
Yeah, it's true. Honestly, man, Sheamus was king tonight. Being in Europe, he was an absolute king. Same with Rusev. They absolutely loved him. AJ Styles in Europe, he is a god among men. He is, honestly, who's better than AJ Styles when you come to Europe? And the crowd definitely stood out more than anything. And I found myself at numerous times in matches watching just the crowd bounce around and saying to myself, this is ridiculous.
Well, at one point, I think that's the story of the show, is that you had a recipe that was kind of pedestrian, but the ingredients were so good that it rose it. And it was the crowd. It took this from what would have been a very bad. Imagine watching this in the Impact Zone.
Dude, you're so funny because we're talking about international shows. Imagine if they went to Japan and did a show and you just had like pure silence for most of the match, watching, observing, and then during one high spot, just a little claps.
Yeah, we would cry. And in the end, Eric, that is the story of this show, is that the crowd made a C+ show into a B show. And yeah, again, if you like John Cena, even if you don't like John Cena, watch the matches he's putting on, because he's decided he's going to put his working boots on for the last few matches. And we've got like 8-9 appearances left for John Cena.
Yeah, which means likely 3 matches. 1 on Saturday night's main event, which will be his last one. 1 versus Brock. And I think there's room for 1 more.
Maybe either the December PLE or he's in War. I mean, as crazy as that sounds, maybe he wins in War Games. He wins his 100th match by leading a War Games team to victory.
Oh, I hope not. I honestly hope not. Let's keep him away from that. It'd be nice if they threw him into a SmackDown or Raw match in one of those matches. That would be nice if they gave the crowds there a massive surprise and just give him an opponent, because he keeps on getting these guys over more and more that he's going against them. Logan Paul, he's already as over as he can possibly be, in my opinion, when it comes to being one of the best. Well, he is the best celebrity to ever do this. As far as celebrities that have stepped in and been completely natural at this, almost automatically, Logan Paul is that. And I have to agree with John Cena. If Logan Paul put all of his effort into professional wrestling, honestly, it'd be crazy how good he is. But he's so good with all of these other side hustles going on.
It's only a matter of time. I hate to say this. It's only a matter of time before he's a world champion.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen. And then Dominic as well, Dominic Mysterio, which was missing again on this crowd. If you ask me, guys like that need to be on your international tours. They're too over as heels, way
This
too over as heels.
you
People love booing that guy.
you should have not put the SmackDown tag match on here and given me Dom versus AJ.
Yeah, that's what you needed to have. That's a recipe for success there, my friend.
Or the Donnybrook match, as much as I enjoyed it, could have been on Raw. It would have fit better on Raw and Dom
No
and
more.
AJ.
No more.
No more.
The execs at Netflix were like, if you give us any more of these guys, we will sue. Cease and desist.
Well, speaking of which, the Raw Dogs will be back at some point. We're covering Raw, and you guys will be covering probably 3 more Donnybrook matches or whatever, or the new tag team Bar 3.2.0 Bangers and Mashes, as I'm going to start calling that tag team. And
The Donnybrookmen.
And
Greg
it just
comes off of the tongue,
the
man. You see the
Donnybrookmen.
T-shirts, everything being sold, shillelaghs with meat pies on the end of them, apparently Bulgarian meat pies.
And they'll come out and Hornswoggle. We'll get Hornswoggle payday. He'll be their mascot.
Oh, it's necessary. It is necessary, and we know he's available.
And then we'll be back next week. Greg will be will be back from his community service. He's helping out with a community project, and I'm not sure if it was court appointed or not, but we'll find out. I'll make him talk about it next week on the show.
I have to say this as we're still recording. The first thing that comes up when I Google Bulgarian cuisine is shopska salad, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, and cheese. Sounds incredible.
And with that, we're going to go find some shaka salad, and we will be back in the near time. In the meantime, in between time, thank you for listening to the Clash in Paris review by The Hub. I'm Brad. He's Eric. Bye, friends.